So I had this big drama on Friday flying to Bangkok, and what had happened was, if you remember, the whole idea of this thing. I was going to catch a train up to northeast Malaysia, cross the border into Thailand, southern Thailand, and then catch another train up to Bangkok. So I got up to northeast Thailand northeast Malaysia to a town called Pasir Mas, and from there I was going to cross over into Thailand. But that place was really, really heavily influenced by Muslims and Islam, and I had a couple of guys following me around the streets in the Islam dress thing, and they kept asking me questions, and I was the only Western person there, and it freaked me out a bit because one of them looked like Osama bin Laden with his goatee thing, and he's saying, "Where are you from? Why are you here? Where are you going?" And I'm thinking, fuck off, I didn't want to say anything because he might chop me up with a machete or something. So anyway, I thought, I'm not comfortable with this place. It's freaking me out a bit. I'm going to go back to the rail station because there was a little police post there. I'll sit there, I'll wait for the train to come back, I'll go back into Kuala Lumpur, and then I'll catch a plane and fly to Bangkok. So while I'm sitting at the train station waiting for the train, I googled the place where I am to see what the deal is with all this Muslim Islam stuff, and nothing much came up on it. But the place I wanted to cross over to is called Kolok Songla in southern Thailand, and there's a big red warning on the Department of Foreign Affairs website in Australia that says, "Don't go there. Whatever you do, don't go there." They chuck bombs at each other all the time, and in between that they shoot each other up with bloody shotguns and AK-47s. They said, just don't go there. If you go there and you get in trouble, we can't help you because we can't send anyone in. And I thought, well, that should apply to the place I was probably at too. But anyway, so I thought, well, glad I didn't go across there. So I went back to Kuala Lumpur. It took 3 trains and took about 17 hours. Finally got to the airport, got on a plane. We're on our way to Bangkok. We get about halfway and the plane starts to shake and it gets really violent. Like the seats are going like this and everyone's looking at each other and they're like, what the fuck? And then the motor whirs and you can hear it turn off. And I'm thinking, I hope the pilot turned that bloody thing off. And the shaking stopped anyway, and then the pilot got on the intercom and said, don't panic, I've turned one of the engines off. You might have noticed that the plane was shaking a bit. We've got 2 engines, so that'll be fine. Don't panic. We just have to sort of really land quickly, like now, immediately. So there's an airport below us, and we're going to spiral down to lose some altitude and then land at that airport. So, nothing's wrong, no problem. It's like, oh, right, you're just going to immediately land right now because there's no problem. Sounds good to me. Doesn't sound like there's any shit going on at all. So anyway, after that, he gets down, lands the plane. It wasn't a huge drama. It landed like it was with 2 engines, really. You couldn't tell there was much wrong. But then when we got to the airport, as we're taxiing on the runway up to the airport, the sign says Hat Yai International Airport, which is spelled Hattyai. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, you've got to be fucking joking. Hat Yai? Because yesterday, when I was looking up the Department of Foreign Affairs website on where you can and can't go, this red zone in South Thailand, the capital of this red do not go zone is Hat fucking Yai. And now we're landing there in a plane, which is fucked. And I thought, well, everything's fucked, isn't it? The plane's fucked. We're landing into this fucking bomb-throwing fucking place. I thought, yay, So anyway, we get into the airport, and the stupid people get us all off the plane and put us into this room. And they say, It's best if you don't go outside, probably because they're chucking bombs at each other, and just wait here and we'll get another plane. And some of the people said, how long is it going to take for another plane to come? And they said, oh, as soon as possible. And people were saying more and more, no, tell us precisely how long. And they wouldn't tell us, they were just, skirting around the outside sort of thing. And finally someone said, oh, within 24 hours. And I thought, so we're in this no-go terrorist zone where they throw bombs at each other and shoot each other. And we're stuck in an airport for 24 hours and you're going to put us in a nice big room and lock the door. So any terrorists in the area would think, ooh, there's a good target. There's 200 tourists locked in the airport in a room. Why don't I just lob a couple of grenades in there? That'll make my statement of whatever I'm trying to say a bit better, won't it, by blowing up people in bloody airports? So I'm thinking, no, I'm not staying here. So I thought the main thing for me is to get the fuck out of this joint. So I went up to the girl and I said, look, I want to get out, open the door, and she's going, no, cannot. And the one thing that pisses me off so much in Malaysia is when you ask someone something and they say, no, cannot. They don't tell you why, they just say, no, cannot. And I said, tell me why. And she said, no, cannot. And I said, I'm only going to ask you once more. If you say no, cannot again, I'm walking out the door. And I said, why can't I leave? And she said, no, cannot. And I said, that's it. So I opened the door to walk out and she came up and she put her arm on me. She said, please, sir, no, cannot. And I said, get your hand off me. All right? And I reached back like that and she panicked a bit and she started to almost cry. And I said, give me a good reason why I should stay here. And she said, oh, I'll get in trouble if you leave. And I said, so is that the reason I can't leave, because you'll get in trouble? And she said, yes. I said, well, let me think about this. I'll stay here means you'll get in trouble. And the other reason that, or the other thing that might happen is that I get blown up by a couple of bombs and spread all over the runway. So let me think. Should I stay here or should I go? I know what, you can get fucked. I'm going. So I walked out the door and she's almost bloody blabbering in tears. Oh, please, cannot. So I said, fuck you cannot, I'm out of here. So I went down. It was an international airport, so I went through immigration and then I went outside, got in a little tuk-tuk thing and went into town, because I thought the most important thing to do, the only thing I wanted to do, is get out of this joint as quickly as possible. I'm at an airport, but there's no planes here, so the possibility of waiting for another one to come could be 3 or 4 or 5 hours, or for this bloody airline to send one was up to 24. So I'm not sitting there, because they herded all the sheep into a pen ready for the slaughter by putting us in a room and saying, just stay there and you'll be right. So I went to the train station and I went up to the booking counter and I said, is there a train heading north coming soon? And she said, where do you want to go? And I said, anywhere. And she goes, can you be more specific? And I said, anywhere but here. And she said, well, look, there's a train that was delayed for an hour and it's now arriving in 4 minutes. And she said, there's a seat on that if you want, and it's going to Bangkok. And I said, excellent, that's where I want to go. I said, here's my money, give me the ticket. So I jumped on the train. So it was really good, because I was in the train station and out within about 8 minutes. So my whole experience in Hat Yai, we landed in this no-go zone shithole, and I was on a train and out of there within 50 minutes, which I thought was pretty good. I don't know if they were going to throw bloody bombs at people. They probably don't, but, it's on the Department of Foreign Affairs website. Don't go there at all. Don't travel there. We can't help you if you're in there. So I thought the most important thing is just to get out of here really quickly, and that's what happened. The biggest issue was that it was on this rickety old wooden train and I could only have a seat, and it took 19 and a half hours to get from Hat Yai to Bangkok. So it was a bit of a marathon train journey. Nice, the view was nice, all up through the mountains. So I got to see the mountains of southern Thailand. I just had to, whilst I was looking out the window, just spy and see if I could see someone with a Molotov cocktail or an AK-47, because they like to derail trains too, apparently, and blow up train stations in this area. Fun times. See ya.